What bucket do the gear and brand sets belong to? Let's find out. Right, this video is coming straight off the back of my bucket method video, so if you haven't watched it, I do suggest watching it to maybe understand what this video is actually about. And the vast majority of this is actually going to be very self-explanatory. We're going to be focusing mostly on the weapon side of things, so the red one, so 511, we're not going to touch. Badger Tough comes with 10% shotgun damage with the one piece. Shotgun damage is going to be weapon damage. This is going to interact with your build the same way in which red cores do. For Brazos, we have 20% magazine size. This is 20% of your base magazine. So if your weapon normally comes with a 30 round mag, you get 20% of 30. That's another 6 bullets. Then we have Habsburg. One piece is 15% headshot. Obviously this goes into the headshot damage bucket. And then for the two piece, we have marksman rifle damage. Again, this is the exact same thing as a weapon damage buff. It just only applies to marksman rifle when it's in your hand. So it's going to interact the same way in which a red core does. It's literally just another red core. And then Jarl with the two piece is 5% weapon damage. This is weapon damage. Now for gear pieces that come with a yellow core, first on this list is going to be 3-piece Electrique. This gives us 10% SMG damage. Again, think red core. And then Hannah Yu 3-piece is 5% weapon damage. Again, obviously 5% red core. And then lastly, for our brand sets, we're going to look at the pieces that give red. Starting off with Araudi, 10% MMR, which is again essentially a red core. 15% headshot, this is going to go into your headshot bucket. And then damage to armor for our 3-piece. This is going to add to things like contractor's gloves or any other sources of damage to armor you have, minus sledgehammer, which is worded very poorly. Then next up we have Douglas and Harding for 20% pistol damage at our 1-piece. This is again essentially just a very large red core. Fenris, 10% AR damage, again interacts the same way a red core does. Then we have Grupo Sombra. For our 3-piece, we get 15% headshot damage. This is going to interact the same way every other source of headshot damage does, adding to more headshot damage. Petrov, 1-piece is LMG damage. Guess where this is going. For Providence, 1-piece, we have 15% headshot. Guess where this is going to go in our headshot bucket. And then at 3-piece for Providence, we get 15% critical hit damage, which is also going to go in our headshot bucket. There is kind of a separate bucket for things like crit chance, but it does have a max cap, and it is also kind of calculated as a probability rather than a static pursuit. Overlord gives us 10% rifle damage. This is essentially, again, just more red core. Then with Sokolov, we have 10% SMG damage. This is, again, just normal weapon damage. And for 2-piece, we have 15% critical hit damage going into our critical hit damage buff. Then things kind of get interesting a little bit with Walker and Harris. We have 5% weapon damage, obviously acting as essentially 5% of a red core. Then we have 5% damage to armor. This again is going to add to things like contractors or even 3-piece Araudi. However, it will not add to sledgehammer. Again, sledgehammer is worded weirdly. And then damage to health for our 3-piece. This will add to things like our 21% health on ARs, Hollow Man if you have it. Like I said, these are pretty self-explanatory and simple, although I do say that I have had 7 discussions now about how Fenris, 10% AR damage, is weapon damage, not total weapon damage, which is an interesting conversation to say the least. Anyway, first up of gear sets is Asis, offering 15% MMR, which is obviously red core, 30% headshot, which is headshot bucket, and then from there, everything else it gives is an amplifier. Remembering each amplifier will have its own bucket. After that, we have Negotiators offering 20% critical hit damage, and then from there, all of its buffs are just into critical hit damage bucket. Ongoing Directive offers 15% status effect. There is no total status effect, it's just status effect, as well as a 20% amplifier for you and your teammates, unless you run the chest, which is a 35% amplifier for you, 20 for your teammates. Tip of the Spear is 10% specialization weapon damage, which is just a red core but only for your special weapon, 10% weapon damage, and then 20% total weapon damage, or 40% if you run the chest. System Corruption can offer up to 20% total weapon damage, and that's basically all the damage bonuses it gets. Hunter's Fury offers 15% shotgun and 15% SMG, essentially a full red core, and then from there it offers an amplifier. At max it is 53.15% amp. True Patriot offers a maximum of a 12% amplifier, however if you're not running the backpack it is 8% amplified damage. Eclipse Protocol offers 15% status effect, and then from here it is a 30% amplifier to enemies affected by status. Future Initiative has 30% repair skill. There is a total repair skills, but this is just repair skill. And then from here we have a 15% or 25% total weapon damage if you are running the chest. From here we have Hardwired, which is 15% skill damage bucket, 30% repair skill. And then from here we are able to get 10% total repair skill and 10% total skill damage. However, if we utilize the chest, this will go from 10 to 25. Now we have Rigor, which is 15% skill haste and 15% skill duration. However, in terms of damage, this will offer us either 25 without the chest or 50 skill damage. Not total skill damage, skill damage. Now we have Umbra. Umbra is a bit different. It offers fire rate, which is going to be added to other sources of fire rate, as well as critical hit damage. That critical hit damage is going to be added to other sources of critical hit damage. And Hot Shot, this gives us 30% marksman rifle damage. This is essentially just 2 red cores, and 30% headshot damage, which is going to be added to other sources of headshot. From here, everything it gives is an amplifier. Now I do have to go over these last two separately, simply just because, and as near as we can figure out, the only reason these two act differently as to how we would expect considering their wording is when one was added it was the new dev team, and when the other was changed it was also the new dev team. So we're just under the impression that the dev team also don't understand the wording, and these two are the only exceptions to everything that I have just said. Up first, Heartbreaker. So, Heartbreaker will give 15% AR or 15% LMG, essentially another red core. And then from here, it's meant to give either 50 or 100, essentially total weapon damage. The problem is, despite the fact that it's meant to be total weapon damage, it also multiplies with other sources of total weapon damage, such as Vigilance. And then it's basically the same for Strikers. We get 15% fire rate, which is going to be added to other sources of fire rate. And then from here, we're able to get either 65, 100, 130, or 200%, depending on the combination of chest, backpack, or chest and backpack, total weapon damage. But again, this doesn't add to other sources of total weapon damage. So you could say this is an amplifier, but it's also not acting as an amplifier. You can test this for yourself. Get yourself a random chest or backpack and just put preferably chest, because we know Obliterate is total weapon damage. Glass Cannon is an amplifier. Despite this, both Glass Cannon and Obliterate at maximum stacks will both give you the exact same numbers. If Heartbreaker as well as Strikers were acting as total weapon damage, you would get slightly less on Obliterate than you would with Glass Cannon, because Glass Cannon would multiply with the total weapon damage from these sets, and Obliterate would add to them. However, they are both multiplying. I don't understand it. I don't get why. I'm assuming it's just a wording error, but as it stands for now, they are the only two outliers that we have. Anyway, this has been pretty fun. Have fun. Good luck. Don't die. It's bad for the health.